In this 8-box blueprint, we're going to have a teaching track and then an exercises track. So the teaching track, we're going to teach how do you set your goals, teach how do you put a plan together, the blueprint, teach how do you execute, how do you think about what to do and the processes, and then teach how to scale. And a lot of people, they're not ready to go to scale because they're 15 and they live at home. They don't have investments, they don't have structured debt, right? Equity, things like that. So when people come in and we ask them, where are you? Like, what's your goal? Your goal is just to get a job. Your goal is to grow your YouTube channel. Your goal is whatever it might be. That's going to drive a different set of items here in the blueprint stage and a different set of actions they're going to take. So therefore, these lessons that are part of these modules are going to be driven by what they say here. We're not going to have everybody do the same thing for the same reason. When you go to a pharmacist, you don't take every single drug that they have there. You're going to take the ones that are right for you. So it's going to be mostly Jake setting this, and then he's going to refer to his team of instructors who are teaching content explicitly as part of this framework. It cannot be separate because it has to live within the framework. We can put in repurposed content as bonus, but we want to make it very clear everything fits into an overall program. You go through the lessons and you do the tasks, right? Before we have a lesson, we introduce what it is, explain how to do it, then say, okay, now it's your turn. Okay. Now, there's one piece that we didn't show earlier, and this is this one here. And this works together with this other financial freedom movement framework. This is the assessment or leveling, okay? So most people, they're busy here starting with the operations, the system of making money and monetizing yourself, and thinking that they work hard enough, doing more things, then they'll have financial freedom. Well, what is financial freedom? Financial freedom is being free of having to worry about money or time so that you can do whatever you want. So if you calculate your income that you need to generate to support a certain expense base, and that there's plenty of room there, then you're doing okay. These different stages of financial freedom, we want people to choose. Where are you right now? Do you have debt? A bunch of credit card debt? You're actually minus. You have negative net worth. Or maybe you're a young adult and you have no debt at all. Great, you're already here at level 2. Or maybe you have a job, maybe you have some kind of part-time thing you're earning, you're selling stuff on the internet, you're starting to make money as an affiliate, but you don't have any debt, but you have some kind of income. But a job means that you're selling things. You're selling actively, your time, selling your things. Passive income is you're creating content and you're making earnings on it. So your time is being decoupled from your ability to earn, as opposed to, trading time for money, all the way up to you being able to invest in other people and other companies. And that's different than yourself being able to operate or selling a course or monetizing through YouTube or being an influencer, which still requires you doing things, to an investment where you run a team of people that are influencers. You run a team of people that run your e-commerce, right? So this is the highest level of financial freedom because you have time and money freedom. You can have money freedom over here, but you don't have time freedom until you systematize, which goes back to having systems of people. In order to have those people, you have to be able to hire them. Hiring them requires that you have to generate enough money to afford things like advertising. That means you need your initial product or service. The initial product or service is probably just you as a worker at Chili's, or as an employee somewhere, or selling things online. But eventually you turn things into products and services, and some things are both, like productized services, or you run an agency helping local businesses. Many ways to make money here. But as you scale the product or service, you make money, you're able to bootstrap, means reinvest back in advertising, to then hiring people and building systems. In order for this to succeed in selling, people buy based on your personal brand, which is word of mouth, which is what other people are saying about you. So we want to see, where are you in these 4 stages, right? These 4 levels. There's 4 levels here, there's 4 levels here, there's 4 levels here. So if you're not putting content out there, like Gary Vaynerchuk talks about, people don't even know who you are. So they need to first know who you are. And then when that's the case, other people start vouching for you. You start creating content together. You have a podcast, you're interviewing them, they're interviewing you. And you start to show that you're knowledgeable and you have a network behind you. You want to put that all on your website, which allows you to collect money from people, allows you to build an email list, allows you to integrate other programs, to cross-sell, to do joint ventures. And then you have these marketing channels that tie it all together. Social media, meaning Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, live events, selling merchandise, right? It's an extension of your system that you have versus channels that you don't own, right? You can market through Instagram and Facebook and all that, but you don't own those channels. So there's something you need to own too. But in order to have a strong personal brand, to be able to build this audience, you have to have a clear mission and a niche to say who you are. And this is where Caleb comes in and talks about how you are your greatest asset and defining your why. And the why can be simple. The why then maps to a topic wheel, which is mapping your knowledge in your network, choosing 6 topics. You can see how these are exercises that then map to building a stronger network. As your network gets stronger, you're invited to speak. That creates more authority. That builds your personal brand at the same time. So 4 levels of your mission, 4 levels of personal branding, 4 levels. There's questions and exercises for each of these. So think about what the particular questions are that we ask to clarify at what level are you. We want people to come through and say, especially like Jake Paul saying, hey, this is the financial freedom assessment, where we have 4 levels in each of these areas. And we know that having a strong mission that people can get behind builds a personal brand that drives other people, that allows you to then sell a product, and then you're able to make money based on that. In other words, your why, your how, and your what. In order for you to sell something, you need to have a community of people behind you, an audience. Once you have an audience, you can sell them all kinds of stuff. But how do you have an audience? You have to have the network and these other people. So think about how that maps into all these other things that are part of this framework. Think about how we get clarity on what your why is. And a lot of personal development people talk about this, but they don't drive this into your knowledge and your network. They don't drive from 1 to 2. And they often just stay at the strategy level and don't go down to the tactics, which are the exercises that people need to do. So think about as people are saying where they want to go, and we're asking them explicitly, where are you? What are the 5 things that you care about? Where do you fit in this continuum? How much debt do you have? If money wasn't an issue, what would you be doing? What's holding you back? What's your biggest fear? All these things here in the wealth pyramid training, right? Tracking your spending here. We're gonna have calculators probably at the end of this phase 1, not in the next week or 2. Understanding concepts like opportunity cost, right? Every one of these things is either teaching or it's exercises. Teaching or exercises, right? This 16 characteristics of the ideal financial vehicle. That's teaching. You're not doing anything based on it. It's something to understand, right? All these different items. Now, think about as people are stepping through this, where Jake is the main figurehead, and he's teaching, and he's then saying, and now Caleb is going to come in, or Dennis, or Brennan, or Mark Lack, or whoever. Billie Jean is going to come teach us about this particular topic. That then creates a linkage here where people understand I'm on this path to financial freedom. And every month I should be able to come in and score myself. Maybe initially I come in, I'm honest, and I'm really a 1, a 2, and a 3. And next month I come in and I've built a better brand and I've improved my product. Eventually, maybe I'm 3, 2, 3, and 4, so whatever it might be. A lot of people will have one part but not the other. Like they'll have a great product to sell, but they don't have the audience to drive it. Or they have a big audience, a lot of people on YouTube or TikTok, but they don't have something to sell. So you see, we want to explain how they're out of balance. And we want financial freedom. Financial freedom actually requires that you have time freedom and money freedom and relationship freedom and emotional freedom, all these kinds of freedom. So we want to help people understand, even if you're 12 and you live at home, in order to get down here where you have full financial freedom, where you could invest in other companies and you could hire other people to get to that point. It might take you 10 or 20 years, but you can certainly start learning and earning down this path, no matter what age you are, because you are your greatest asset. And I talked to a couple people that I've interviewed specifically for this Jake Paul course, talking about how those limitations aren't really limitations when you reframe. It's based on mindset. Okay, so we want people to score. The other part is that when they're coming through this outline So this is more for Jess. I guess it could also be for Lana and for Karen. This is going to be our textbook. So you know with textbooks, there's two of them. The one is the student edition and one's the teacher's edition. So the student edition shows the roadmap, shows the diagram, shows the exercises. In this case here, we're putting the exercises in a different color, so it's very clear. We also want to distinguish who's speaking. So if Jake is speaking, let's have that as one color. And if it's another expert, just call it expert as a placeholder. Let's have that as another color. Also, if it is learning content, right, where it's teaching content, have that marked in one way. Maybe it's like italics or a particular font. And if it's an exercise content, maybe have that in Times New Roman. That way, based on this, we always know who's teaching it. Is it an exercise or is it teaching? And how does it fit into the overall framework? So as this thing gets bigger and bigger, it's very clear where we are. And that way people understand this is a overall framework. It all fits together. It's not random people giving random thoughts. And then Jess can make this a beautiful diagram. And we put it into a book, an actual book that we want to send people, print it out on big poster size, 48-inch poster board, so Jake can point at it, Jake and Mark can point at it saying this is where you are, score yourself right now. We go through these exercises that are not dead ends, like here. On a scale of 1 to 5, rate yourself in this area. How clear are you on what your goals are? 1 to 5, how efficient are you at spending money? Well, I don't even know what cash flow is. I don't even know what it means now. Okay, well, let's go back to the training on what that means, right? The teaching before we go to the exercises. So we want to have two versions. One is the student version, right? And the other one we'll call the teacher's edition. The teacher's edition includes the scripts and the explanations for Jake and for the other experts so that Jake can come in and the other experts can come in and say, okay, so at this point here are the words to say. You can either read them straight up in a teleprompter, or you can kind of paraphrase, but just hit the main bullet points. That way, it's like a script. You know, Tom Cruise reads a script when they have Mission Impossible or whatever the favorite actor you have for a favorite movie. They go through the script and they look at it, and we want Jake and Mark Lack and Billie Jean and all the other people. There's a ton of people we can pull into this. I want to do that for the other lessons. This is just for the next week or so to show the structure works. Then the other people we can start to add in. And if Jordan or Mark or other folks want to add in other people, that's great, because this framework accommodates it. If we want to talk more about money, because Caleb Williams is great talking about money, then that's here, right? Caleb will have all the stuff here talking about how you can manage your time and money, how opportunity cost is, time versus money, and if you do this one thing, then you can't do this other thing because you can only be in one place at one time. But then going all the way back to who your mission is and where you spend your time and how everything becomes balanced for you. Mark Lack understands very much about how to set goals, how to sell, how to speak, how to build your personal brand. So everyone has different components, and this model is fungible, meaning that we can switch out different experts. So let's say, for example, we have a Jared Subway issue. We can just swap that out and have someone else there. So it should be fine. So we need Karen in particular to structure these pieces so it's very clear what needs to be said by each expert, whether it's Jake Paul or what have you, and then we use our naming and formatting convention so that this thing is legit textbook worthy, and we can put it out there. I think we should even publish this textbook and just put it out there, like put it on Amazon and have it be another book by Jake Paul and all these other authors, but Jake Paul as the main thing. And I think that'll drive people into the videos. The beauty is people can buy the book for whatever, right? But then if they want to go through the exercises, if they want to learn, if they want to have the community, then they pay the $20 to get in. And that'll get us through season 1 as a one-time $20 piece. The other thing too, I'd love to see what you guys think, is I think we have a lot of people who are Jake Paul fans who are 12 to 18. And the program terms say on the site, which I know we can change, say 18 plus. Maybe that's what the lawyers are saying. If it's 18 plus, then we can set accountability groups. And Zoom has this thing called Zoom Rooms where we can put people into these groups. And let's say we have 5,000 people that come in, and we'll say, okay, groups of 4. right? And that way you have 3 accountability partners, and you guys can meet on your own every week to cover where you are in this framework, where are you struggling, practice interviewing each other, maybe even group people by the topic that they care about. People that are doing the same kind of thing, where they select where they are, or what issue they're talking about or working on, right? They're trying to hire a VA, they're trying to figure out how to build their website. Like, we can have people together coordinate on that. That way it's not just relying only upon the instructor, the expert instructor that's teaching and then showing that there's these exercises, but people can help one another. Now you have a movement. You know, if we talk about this as the financial freedom movement, people need to be able to get together on this, and we need to have people rallying around and saying, look, congratulations, I just moved from level 2 to level 3, right? This is great. Oh, everyone celebrate. Here's your badge. You can do that in Lightspeed, have badges and quizzes. Think about what happens with the movement when we put the social influence or the gamification on top of the exercises in the video. That's the whole point of interactive video. You know, Lightspeed is made to allow the building in of these exercises. And I'll share with you some of the, in this accompanying email, I'll share with you links of how we build that and stuff that we have built, so you can see how complex you can make it, but how simple you can make it, and merely be, hey, Jake Paul here. I'm so glad you're part of financial freedom movement. Tell me, do you know what it means to be financially free exactly? Yes or no? And they click on the button, yes or no, and we just build that into the video. That's where the if-thens come in. That's why it's so important to have these things built into the if-thens. And if they select their goal, they select the roles, then we'll send them to that next video. So instead of coming through here and watching these different videos like a Netflix series where this video is 5 minutes, this video is, however many minutes long, the videos are actually all going to be of different lengths, because it depends on how you answer, where it moves you to another sequence, which is why we looked at Netflix Bandersnatch. Because when you have a choose your own adventure, it can be any particular, because we're all trying to get down to here, our version of financial freedom, which means our unique mission and what we are and how we have our products and services. So that's what we want. This is going to be the coolest thing, I think, and it's going to be under Jake Paul's name, and it's going to cause an uproar, which is exactly what we want, especially when we have $1 million of prop money, which looks real, and I want to see Jake burn it. And I'll say, this is what happens when you waste yourself. A waste is a terrible thing to mind. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, and light that money on fire. And you have all the haters talk about it and say, that's what's happening when you don't have a clear mission, when you don't have a brand, and you're having to do things that you don't want to do because you don't have control over your time and money. That's what financial freedom's about. And I'm Jake Paul. I want to help you do it. I've rounded up a team of the world's best experts, because I'm not an expert in everything. Come join me on this journey. Here's your textbook. We're going to have accountability. You're going to achieve these goals. You're not going to make $1 million next month. Probably not. But even if you're a young adult, you still live at home, you don't have a credit card, you don't have a business, you don't have any knowledge, this is the right place for you. That's what we're going to do. All right. So let's put these documents together. We only have a few days left.